Okay, hi, Kathryn. Everybody who is listening or watching to this is Kathryn Purcell, friend of mine, and we're just going to talk a little bit today about coping in lockdown in terms of we get the physical side right when we're in the gym, but how we can cope with the mental side of things while we're in lockdown. So, Kathryn, maybe if you just give us a little bit of a background on yourself to start with.
Yeah. So, hey there, my name's Kathryn. Thank you for having me. So I am a counsellor and a psychotherapist. I have been doing that now for about 18 years, nearly 20 years. And I started off mainly counselling children and young people, and I've sort of now do a lot of work with people who have experienced trauma. I do a lot of work in that, a lot of work in attachment stuff as well. I manage a counselling centre in East Belfast, which is called Anchor Counselling. And the other thing that I do is I'm an associate pastor at Christian Fellowship Church. So yeah, a couple of jobs. I am married and I have 3 kids, and that's probably the most important jobs that I do. So yeah, that's me sort of in a nutshell. I guess what I would say is I have a real passion for really supporting people to become a bit more equipped and aware about like mental health and emotional well-being, because I sort of feel like there are a lot of tools out there that everyone can access. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be a therapist. And I think sometimes a lot of us maybe don't key into those, or maybe don't know about them well enough, and therefore we miss sort of this opportunity to promote really good mental health and emotional well-being.
Cool. So lots of experience there, and especially down that whole sort of like mental health kind of side of things, which is really obviously important. Like with CrossFit and the fitness side of things, we tend to get the physical side of things, right? And that's the kind of thing that we do on a daily basis. And sometimes we can forget that, it's not just about physical well-being, but mental and emotional well-being. So how do you think those, like that mental well-being, like links in with the physical side of things?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I would say that I think, and obviously we're speaking to a group of people who have prioritized physical exercise, and I think that is really important, and that in fact is a really key component to maintaining like good overall mood levels. Physical exercise is proven to be really helpful in that. I think not just, I guess, the physical aspect, there's the connective aspect, isn't there? Because you guys create relationship and community within what you do. And I'm sure for some of you, that's probably something that you're really missing at the moment, is that sense of connecting up with like-minded people, your little group, your crew, of CrossFitters.
Totally, yeah.
And I think, Johnny, like I'd said to you, and we were having to think about where to go with this today, I was sort of likening this sense of looking at us as whole beings. So physical exercise and physical health is one piece, and it's a very important piece of this whole being thing. But I guess what I think I said to you, I sort of have this almost image of some of those memes that you see online, the guy that's sort of done all the sort of chest work and arm work but has neglected leg day, and so he's so muscly up here and big muscles and all of this stuff, and then as the camera pans down and you've got these 2 little skinny matchsticks. There's nothing there. And I guess for me, if it helps, it's probably a good idea to think about, if you neglect also putting effort in to your mental well-being, emotional well-being, if you neglect to think about that or to support yourself in that, it's a little bit like skipping leg day, And I think for you CrossFitters, I know that your exercise routines are really sort of, they're for like overall fitness and overall, strength training. It's not, you don't just focus on one area, but I just thought it was a really good thing to keep in mind. So you also do need to put in a bit of effort and exercise into maintaining really good mental health. And there are really simple things that we can do that can support overall mental health. We talk exercise is one of them. Another one is sort of trying to find really good relational contacts, to create connectivity with people.
I think in terms of that, like at the minute, because we're not in that gym setting, like a lot of the times people come to the gym because of that relational setting and that community, and not just the exercise side of things. Sometimes the exercise is nearly secondary to it. Yeah. And I think now with being in this kind of lockdown kind of situation, that it can be difficult to have that, because you can't physically have it. It's trying to get that in some other shape or form.
Yeah, I feel that. I think you're right. And so I suppose something I've been thinking about and talking about with both clients and sort of groups of people that I've been talking to is this sense of we all have, I think, a little bit of Zoom fatigue, or, where we're all sort of, you've done like 25 Zoom meetings a week, or, you've, and they all start the same, don't they? It's like, nobody's muted, so somebody coughs and we can all see them, or there's all of this stuff going on. And Zoom's amazing. It's absolutely fantastic, but I think we need to be really intentional and deliberate about how we use it, if we are using it in order to further and maintain personal relationships, and I think that's what you're talking about. So for me, I have found that it's probably quite important to like prioritize a proper like where before you might have met people physically, you now need to factor in if you're doing it on Zoom, if you're doing it on FaceTime, you almost need to be as deliberate about it as you might have been if you were trying to set up to meet them, say, for a walk in the park, or say in a cafe or in a pub or something like that. Do you know the arrangements that you put in place to make that happen? So you make sure, for example, if you are part of a family, you make sure that your kids are going to be looked after because they can come along to that. Or if, if it's a walk in the evening, you make sure that you've cleared your schedule and that you've put in time specifically to be with this person or this group of people. And I would really encourage you, if you want to have some level of really apologies, I'm so sorry. I need to put my phone on to flight. Okay. There you go. I didn't even listen to my own advice. So that's deliberate. That was a deliberate thing. Yeah. So, but it is as significant as that, though. It's like if you were trying to have a call with a really good friend and you guys were trying to schedule in, maybe you're going to meet up over Zoom and have like a, some sort of artisanal coffee, or maybe you're going to have like a beer or something. But it's literally like putting your phone onto flight mode so that it's just the two of you for that amount of time. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think we need to be very deliberately intentional and almost like, I guess almost a little bit, what is the word, like over the top about making sure that it's just you, that you've created a safe space, that the two of you are really keyed in. Or if it's a group of people, the same thing goes. It's setting time aside really intentionally to meet. It's grabbing, like your cup of coffee. It's making it a thing, it's making it important. It's making it special. And so I would really encourage you guys in your personal lives to try and be really intentional about it. Don't just rely on the odd WhatsApp group or meme. Don't just rely on the odd text sent randomly here and there. If I can liken it to, that's like getting crumbs, at a banquet. It's like getting a few crumbs. It's like getting somebody's leftover McDonald's French fries. And what actually you want is the Big Mac. You want the full on, you want the full thing. Yeah. So what I'm saying is make it happen, because it can be really easy to eat like little French fries all day and not feel full. And the same goes with connectivity, okay? You can be drip fed little texts. You could be sending each other memes on Insta. You could be doing all those things which give you almost a false sense of connection. You're like, well, it's okay, we're still in touch. And actually you're skipping the meal. You're skipping the bit that makes you feel, and it's the meal which makes you feel full, which brings you satisfaction, which gives you a sense of well-being. That post-meal glow when you're like, all is right in the world. And it's that same thing. You need to do that in terms of meeting up with folk, even if it's online and not in person.
It's kind of a wee bit like that feeling that you get when you finish your workout as well. Like during the workout, you're maybe screaming, and in your head, you're like,
Yeah,
"Why am I doing this?"
yeah,
And then
yeah,
as soon as the workout finishes, you get that like feeling of satisfaction of, "I'm so glad that I did that," and just it sets you up then for the rest of the day.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I would not know about that, but I will take your word for it. But yeah, I'm sure that, I think, but there's something really key in what you said there. There's almost sometimes a pain barrier you need to go through,
mhm.
because so the same way in terms of your workout, whenever you're doing it and your muscles are screaming or whatever, and you think you're not going to be able to finish, I guess for some folk, Zoom meetings or FaceTimes can feel a little bit painful, can't they? There's
Yeah.
that almost a sense of awkwardness, or, oh man, is the sound going to work? Are I going to be able to see them? Will my internet be strong enough? Is it going to be really awkward? Like, where do we start? And so I think it's really important to acknowledge that, but also to say it is really worth it. Nothing really, I don't know that anything can replace that sense of like face to face, and that we know that it's a false simulation. You're not actually in the same room, but there's
Mhm.
something really significant about trying to make it happen in that way,
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, hopefully the whole face-to-face thing, it's not too much longer before people can get back to that.
Yeah, that would be
Um,
awesome.
we also had a wee chat beforehand about a quote that you had put on your Instagram, and this really appealed to me because I've been running about like crazy man for the last year with the gym opening,
Yeah,
and just been non-stop. And
yeah,
the quote that you put up was, "Taking time to rest is radical. It is countercultural and can feel like laziness.
yeah,
And here's the truth: rest is a free and powerful act of self-care."
yeah,
Um, and it just like that really appealed to me because certainly like we talked about this, like the first 4 weeks of lockdown, it was like a little bit of a novelty, but at the same time, it was like, oh, I can chill for a bit. I can like unwind here.
yeah,
I can have a few lie-ins. I can recover a bit from lack of sleep and
uh-huh.
just
Yeah,
get to spend more time with family and stuff. And um, you know, it's obviously been enforced in a way because of the lockdown. But it's for me, it's been really good from that side of things. But do you want to maybe like elaborate a wee bit on that quote, maybe?
yeah. I think for me, I think something that I observe both in myself and culturally is this sense of, productivity is king. And it's this sort of thing, I suppose the thing that as a therapist and also as a person, I guess, that concerns me about that is I think on occasion we mistakenly converge worth with productivity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're only worthy if you're productive, you're only worthy if you're making good content, you're only worthy if you're busy all the time. It's almost become a badge of honor, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I've done this, I've got my to-do list is a mile long, and I'm getting through it. And I mean, we even have, yeah, there's loads of like Instagram influencers that release books of lists that people can complete and fill. And I think for me, there's a number of issues with that. Probably the first one is that I reckon a big part of staying busy all the time is avoidance, because you
Mm-hmm.
can avoid the hard stuff, can't you? And you can avoid thinking about the things that you're not quite so happy about. And there's a real danger to that. So I think this enforced sense of rest that we currently have, probably for a lot of you, and for me too, there's this sense of sometimes old issues or old concerns or fears can float up a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because we've cleared away all this busyness that that we're engaging in and productivity that we're engaging in, and suddenly there's this blank space ahead, and the stuff that you try and ignore cannot any longer be ignored.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And what I would say is that is it's not a bad thing if hard stuff is coming up for you. It isn't a bad thing if fear and anxiety is present. It is a
Mm-hmm.
very normal response to probably being on a treadmill for a long time and stepping off and taking a moment to breathe.
Yeah.
It's a really normal response. And what I would also say is, whenever we're talking about like whole mind, body, soul connection, the health of one area also feeds into the health of other areas, it is a good thing to begin to look at hard things, because then we begin to be able to deal with them, to be able to sort of, I guess, filter them out, to think about them. Are they real? Are they important? Do I need to work further on them? Do I need to get help with this stuff? Or is it just something that I need to sit with for a while, think about, and then move on from? But there's a very rest is powerful. We as humans weren't meant to be available 24/7. We weren't meant to be contactable 24/7. We weren't meant to be doing 24/7. And the world and life that a lot of us have created means that actually we'd almost fallen into this thing of being available all the time, of being able to access whatever we want to access all the time. There's all the jokes about Amazon Prime. You click your order and you're already waiting to see, is it going to arrive today? All of those things. But it's sort of fortunately means that there's no space for shutdown. There's no, in the same way that we are supposed to power off all devices on occasion in order to allow them to reset. We also need to completely power off. And so a big part of what I do in terms of the basics with clients would be about, how do you power off? How do you actually manage to get the space to have a completely clear? Is your sleep impacted? So that's another one. It's like all of those very basic things, clearing your sleep, allowing space for self-reflection, allowing space just to almost sit with whatever that comes up. That sitting with a cup of tea, not reading, not watching, not scrolling. What does that feel like for you? Does that feel frightening? Because we're so unused to doing it.
I think I can really relate to that, because again, just in the last year with the gym and that whole nearly the 24 access, you've got a mobile in your hand, which has access to your emails, Instagram, Facebook, and people maybe are sending messages inquiring about membership or about a workout or whatever it is, and you get home and you can't switch off because you're maybe replying to the messages, or you're setting up the workout for the next day or whatever it might be. And I think in this time, it's nearly taught me to be able to kind of switch off a little bit, and forget about that side of things for a little bit. Whereas before it was just because it was so mad. Then when you do, you do get home and you can't switch off. But
you can't. And a lot of sleep disorders, which I'm sure as somebody that is really fit and does a lot of exercise, you hopefully struggle a bit less with, but and community. But certainly a lot of sleep disorders can be really linked to being switched on and connected all the time. Our brains aren't able to immediately just turn off as soon as we put our phone on silent and sit outside the bed. They can't. Our brains continue to work. And so I think this season of rest, it's almost lifted off the pressure of having to respond in the same way, hasn't it? Because you know that you can't meet up, you know that you can't do that particular work thing, so there's probably a bit of release in that for some people. And I guess for me, I hope that we're able to hold on to that moving into the future. And that's another really important point. Use this time not just to wait for things to begin again. Use it to plan what you want the beginning to be like. Use this time to plan how you want life to be post-lockdown, and that can really help around anxiety and stress if you begin to take control a little bit. Plan who you want to see, plan what you want to do, plan the areas that you want to really grow in. You've maybe realized during this time off you really want to focus in on a new aspect of your work, or you want to learn something. Take the time to plan how that's going to happen, and that can be really supportive in helping you to feel like life is still happening even though we're currently a bit paused.
Yeah, I think you talk there about the planning and stuff, and obviously for me as a gym owner, I have to plan because things are going to look differently when we eventually get to reopen. And obviously maybe it could be a case of smaller class numbers. Times of classes spaced out and whatever else, and that's given me a chance to think about that. However,
amazing.
With me personally, I was really looking forward to hearing the government's plans on Monday, and whenever they released them, I got a sense of frustration, because all I want was a date. Give me a date that I can focus on. Okay, that might not come off. There might be factors that stop it from happening on that date, and they may have to change things. But just give people a little bit of hope and a focus, nearly.
Yeah.
And maybe just to kind of like round things up, there's a few words that kind of have gone through my mind the last couple of days in relation to thinking about having this chat with you, that people may be feeling. And personally, mine was frustration. A lot of people are worried, they're anxious, they're fearful. There's a lot of uncertainty in terms of, maybe financial uncertainty. Someone's maybe not sure if they're going to have a job to go back to, or maybe has lost their job in the last 8 weeks. So maybe if you could give us maybe 2 or 3 tips to kind of cope with those sort of things in lockdown, and as we maybe start to hopefully come out of lockdown in the next number of weeks.
Yeah. So I think probably certainly there's been a bit of a acceleration of feelings of like stress or anxiety, and the government updates, I think, almost for people increase that a little bit, because you almost begin to gear up towards things changing, and then it doesn't quite happen, so you're sort of left still with a level of anxiety. And I guess number one, what I would say is it's very normal, and it's a very natural response. Anxiety and fear, stress are natural responses to the situation that we're currently in, particularly if you struggle with a level of financial instability. If you're just worried about this, there's a thing about the uncertainty, isn't there? And there's fear around not having like a date to pin your hopes on, or a very clear plan ahead, and that uncertainty can be really hard. And what I would encourage you to do is to sit with yourself, and I guess to focus in on the certainties that you do have. What are the certainties that you have about yourself? So that could be as simple as thinking about things to feel grateful for. It could be, I have a family that I love. I have, I have a particular thing that I am looking forward to. I can exercise every day. I know how to do that. It would be to focus in on things that you know are helpful to you. So for a lot of you, I'm assuming that will be exercise. For some of you, that may be taking, say, 10 minutes a day to listen to, a favorite piece of music and begin moving your body to that. Hook into things that you know are helpful for you. The second thing I would say, which is really important, is be aware of behaviors which are not helpful for you. Okay. And that will differ for everybody. We all have our coping mechanisms, don't we? And for some of us, we will have some really healthy ones in our toolkit, which may look like exercise, which may look like breathing, which may look like taking a bit of time out, which may look like getting in nature. Those sort of things are good for us, and they will still be good for you tomorrow whenever you look back knowing that you've done them. There are some behaviours that some of us can resort to in times of stress, uncertainty, or anxiety, which aren't good for us. So excessive alcohol consumption, for example, for some of you that may look like, I guess, more compulsive behaviours. For you, that might be about food. For you, it could be around, excessive cleaning, getting and hooked into doing a lot of stuff in the house and feeling anxious if you don't manage to complete that. And for some of you, that might look like, hand washing, and I'm not talking about OCD, which is sort of a more recognized disorder, but all of us can carry levels, of compulsivity. And it's really good. So what I would say to you is, if that's you, recognize those behaviors, recognize the things that you may do which aren't helpful for you, and begin to look at a healthy habit that can come in there and replace it. Okay, so if for you alcohol's an issue, then I'd really encourage you, what can you do at the time at which you begin to drink? Get out there, start walking, start doing a bit of exercise, pick up a book, or arrange a Zoom call with somebody for that time. Be accountable is, I guess, what I'm saying. So be really aware of the behaviours that you engage in which aren't helpful, and begin to replace them with something which feels good. And then finally, I don't know if we've got time, Johnny. I was going to just run through quite quickly a little grounding exercise. It's super simple, really easy, but it's really, really effective. And what I would say is I encourage people to practice this even if they aren't feeling like on the edge of anxiety or really stressed. I encourage people to begin to practice these sort of things on a daily basis so that you're able to sort of switch into them if you do need to.
Okay.
This is called, and you may well have heard of it before, but it's the 5-4-3-2-1 approach. Okay. So it's really simple what I'd encourage you to do. I'm going to get you to do it. Straighten up in your seat there, Johnny.
Slouching.
Give your shoulders a bit of a roll, get into a comfortable position.
Yep.
Be aware of your hands. Are they clenched?
Okay.
I want you to have them a bit loose, have them resting gently. So you know where you are, you're sat really comfortably, you are in a good position. And I want you then to take in a couple of really deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. So we begin to do that. So we're naturally beginning to ground ourselves, okay? And so we're going to think of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique number 5. I want you to name, you can do it internally, name 5 things that you can see, okay, around you. So it could be the sky. It could be, I can see a fireplace. There's a picture. Just name 5 things that you can see.
Okay.
4 things that you can touch, okay? 4 things. If you're somewhere in public, I'd encourage you don't touch anyone else. Social distancing in place anyway. We can't do it. 4 things you can touch. It could be different items of clothing that you yourself are wearing. It could be hair, it could be anything. 3 things that you can hear. 3 things that you can hear.
Katie cooking lunch.
There you go. Awesome. You're in a good place right now. But it could be birds. It can be traffic. It doesn't need to be, zen. It can be anything. 3 things you can hear. 2 things that you can smell. You can hopefully smell your lunch cooking. I wish I could. But yeah, again, it can be anything. For some of my people that really struggle with anxiety or stress, I tell them bring a little bit of something you'll have at the moment, like hand wipe, that has a bit of a scent, and use that.
Okay.
And that can be really, that's really powerful. 1 thing you can taste. 1 thing that you can taste. And if you're like, I'm not anywhere, I'm not going to start licking stuff, that's okay. Don't do that, But it can be, the taste of the cup of coffee that you just had. It can be a wee sweet or a little candy thing that you have with you. So though, essentially, Johnny, what we're doing, so at the end of those, you continue to breathe. But what we're doing is we're bringing our brain from a place in which it feels frightened and stressed into a place in which it's actually being very intentional about pulling you into the present. We're bringing your thinking into your frontal lobes. If you want to get super logical about it, you're coming out of fear, the little piece of your brain that looks after fear and stress, and we're pulling it out into the bit which is more functional, which is able to be more logical, and that is into your frontal lobes. And naming those 5 things brings you into the present moment. It helps you to feel grounded, but it also brings a sense of perspective. Okay. So that's a super helpful tip that you can do anywhere, and which will calm you down really quickly.
That's great.
So yeah, may I just, I guess, finish off by saying, if any of the stuff that I've talked about, unhealthy coping mechanisms, fear, anxiety, or stress, if that stuff has become ever present for you, if you're really struggling with it, you need to speak to your GP. Okay, don't be afraid to do that. They're so happy to help you. Pick up the phone. You can do it on the phone probably with a lot of surgeries. But they know that people are struggling at the moment. So if for you this feels like it's almost overtaken your life a little bit, do not sit with that. All of these coping mechanisms work in terms of building up good mental health. But if you're in a crisis, you need to speak to your GP first and begin to reach out for a bit of support there.
Thank you very much, Kathryn. That was certainly really informative for me. It was good just to catch up with you as well and have a bit of a chat. And hopefully for the guys that listen to this, we'll get something out of it. Certainly from trying to link that physical and mental side of things together, which is so important. But yeah, so thank you, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Lovely to see you. And I hope, you continue on doing your thing in terms of the CrossFit, but don't forget leg day. your mind.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Bye.
No problem.